The forest was quiet that night, too quiet. Even the insect had gone silent, as if the world itself was holding its breath. I was out gathering wood for the colony fires when I heard it. A faint sob, broken and desperate, carried through the trees. I followed the sound until I reached a small clearing, and there she was. A girl no older than 10, huddled against a fallen log, her shoulders shaking. Silver feathers trailed across the ground, bent and blooded, her wings folded tightly against the back, as though she were ashamed of them. Her pale skin glimmered faintly in the moonlight, and when she lifted her head, her eyes glowed with an otherworldly light. She wasn't human. She flinched when she saw me, scrambling back on trembling legs, wings twitching as if she might fly, only to collapse in pain. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "Please, don't take me back." I opened my mouth to speak, but the words caught in my throat. Before I could answer, branches snapped behind us. Figures emerged from the shadows, tall, armored warriors with wings folded proudly at their backs. Their armor gleamed with ivory patterns, their eyes sharp and merciless. Errani, the winged people, and they weren't here by chance. Their leader stepped forward, his voice cutting through the night like steel. "Human, step aside. That one is ours. She is broken, defective. The law is clear." The girl whimpered and stumbled toward me, clutching the back of my jacket with trembling fingers. In that instant, something changed. She wasn't just an alien child anymore. She was someone who believed I could protect her. I felt the weight of her trust settle on my shoulders like chains. "She's a child," I said, forcing my voice steady. "You can't just—" "Silence," the leader barked. His wings spread wide, casting a shadow that swallowed the clearing. "Stand down, or you will share her fate." My pulse hammered, every instinct screaming to let them take her. But I didn't move. Her grip tightened, and I knew I couldn't. A long silence stretched between us. Finally, the leader's eyes narrowed. "So be it. You've chosen death." The clearing filled with a whisper of drawn blades, moonlight glinting off their edges. And just like that, my quiet life in the colony was over. By the time we reached the colony gates, whispers had already spread like wildfire. A human carrying a wounded Errani child was trouble enough. But when she unfurled her battered wings in the torchlight, the murmurs turned to gasps. Some looked at her with pity, others with naked fear. Within the hour, the council convened. Our council chamber was nothing more than a reinforced hall with steel beams scavenged from old ships, but tonight it felt like the heart of the world. Commander Eliza sat at the head, arms folded, eyes sharp as blades. To her right stood Marcus, the doctor, already hovering by the girl, checking her pulse. On the other side was Tam, our anthropologist, his mind racing at the sight of living Errani in our midst. Eliza's voice cut through the murmurs. "You brought her here. Aaron, do you understand what this means? The Errani don't tolerate weakness. If they want her back, they'll burn us to the ground to get her." "She's just a child," I answered, my throat dry. "We can't hand her over to be killed." Before anyone could argue further, the colony doors groaned open. Shadows fell across the hall as 3 Errani emissaries strode inside, wings spread, armor gleaming. Their presence made the air itself feel thinner. The leader's gaze swept the room before fixing on me. "Return the exile," he commanded. "She is a stain on our bloodline. Your kind should not involve itself in ours." Eliza rose from her seat, jaw clenched. "This is human ground. She is under our protection now." The emissary's lips curled into something between a sneer and a smile. "Then let the old lord decide. Duel of the wingless. One of you against one of ours. If your champion wins, the exile remains. If not, her life is ours, and so is yours." The chamber erupted in shouts. Some cried it was madness. Others hissed that refusal meant war. Eliza's eyes flicked toward me, as though silently demanding I undo the mess I'd made. My stomach twisted. Every rational part of me wanted to step back, to let someone stronger, braver, or at least less terrified stand in my place. But then I felt the girl's small hand slip into mine, trembling but certain. Before I realized what I'd done, the words were already out of my mouth. "I'll fight." The whole fell silent, every eye burning into me. The Errani emissary's smile sharpened. Then your blood will be the ink of her fate. The arena was carved from the earth centuries ago, its stone walls scorched with the memory of countless battles. Tonight, torches burned in iron braziers, their flames licking the air as the colony gathered in a hushed semicircle. On the far side, Arany warriors stood with their wings half-spread, their silver feathers gleaming under twin moons. I stepped into the circle with nothing but a spear and the certainty I would die. My opponent was a mountain with wings. His armor shimmered with etched glyphs, his talons scraping the stone as he flexed them like a predator preparing to feast. A horn sounded, sharp and merciless. The duel began. He lunged first, a blur of speed despite his size. The axe whistled through the air and struck the ground inches from my head, stone splintering where I'd been. I rolled away, lungs burning, clutching the spear like a lifeline. The crowd gasped as his wings flared, blasting me backward with the force of the gust. Pain lanced through my shoulder when I hit the ground. He was toying with me, savoring the fear. But fear sharpens. While he raised his axe for a killing strike, I jammed my spear into the torch beside me, snapping the wood and sending sparks into his face. He snarled, staggering just enough for me to dive past him. I grabbed a loose chain from the arena floor, relic of an old duel, and looped it around his ankle as he spun. The moment he charged, I yanked with every ounce of strength I had. The great champion crashed forward, wings tangling, axe clattering across the sand. I was on him in a heartbeat, broken spear pressed to his throat. For a second, the arena held its breath. Then, slowly, the champion lowered his gaze. The human wins. The words rippled through the crowd, disbelief and shock colliding. My chest heaved, blood dripping from a dozen cuts. But I was alive, and more importantly, so was she. Kayla ran to me, eyes glistening, wings trembling. She pressed her forehead against my chest and whispered the truth that stole what little breath I had left. They weren't hunting me because I was weak, she said. I know their secret. Beneath this land, their fleet sleeps, and it's waking. Her voice shook, but the fire in her eyes was undeniable. The duel had ended, but the war beneath our feet had only begun. The council chamber had barely settled after the duel when the ground itself answered Kayla's words. A low tremor rippled through the colony, knocking lanterns from their hooks. The floorboards shook as if something massive stirred beneath the surface. Outside, a sentry screamed. We rushed to the barricades. Beyond perimeter, the forest writhed with movement, dark shapes gliding between the trees, their eyes glowing like embers. The shadow beast had awoken. Legends painted them as nightmares, creatures that thrived before even the Arany spread their wings, driven into hibernation when the first fleet scarred the planet. Now, the disturbance beneath us had called them back. The first beast lunged through the flames of a torch, its body half flesh, half chitan, claws longer than a man's arm. It tore through a guard before anyone could fire. Panic spread. Children screamed. Even the Arany emissaries recoiled. Hold the line. Commander Eliza shouted, drawing her pistol. Blasts lit the night, but the beasts moved unnaturally fast, weaving between bullets, their scales glinting like obsidian. I snatched the torch and planted myself in front of Kayla. The nearest creature hissed, eyes narrowing at the flame. I swung wildly, the fire forcing it back a step. Fire! I shouted over the chaos. They hate the fire. Soon the barricades roared with light. Colonists hurled burning debris. Hunters spread their wings and struck from above. And for the first time, humans and Arany fought side by side, not out of trust, but sheer necessity. I saw one of the emissaries dive from the sky, scooping a human child from a beast's jaws and tossing the boy back into his mother's arms. The sight hit me harder than any blow. Enemies, saving each other. Still, the creatures kept coming. For every one that fell, 2 more slithered from the shadows. My arms burned, lungs on fire, but Kayla never let go of my sleeve. She whispered through the noise, "They rise because the fleet stays. The ground remembers." At last, as dawn bled across the horizon, the beast retreated, melting back into the forest. The survivors collapsed in exhaustion, the smell of charred wood and blood heavy in the air. And then the ground trembled again. From the cracked earth outside the colony, a faint blue glow pulsed upward. Glyphs etched into the soil lit the morning with unnatural light. The girl's visions had been true. The fleet beneath us was waking. The glyphs continued to burn long after the beast retreated, etching blue fire across the earth like veins of a living heart. That night changed everything. The Arani left in silence, shaken that their darkest myths had clawed into daylight. Our council fractured. Some believed Kayla was a curse, others whispered she was a key. But no one could ignore what we had seen. Something vast slumbered beneath us, and it would not sleep forever. Kayla grew in the shadows of those truths. Years passed. She healed slowly, her broken wings mended by human care and her own stubborn will. By 16, she was flying again. By 18, training with hunters who once wanted her dead. Her laughter, once rare, began to echo across the colony fields, though her eyes always carried the weight of what she had seen. And I, older, slower, watched her grow. Part protector, part father, part comrade. She never forgot the night she hid behind my back. 2 decades later, the world held its breath again. The morning sky split open with thunder, not from storms, but from wings of steel. A fleet rose into orbit, vast warships of silver and light tearing through the clouds. They were not the Empire's ships. They were the ones buried in the earth, resurrected and reforged under Kayla's command. Colony alarms wailed as shadows stretched across the land, cast by 100 colossal vessels. But this time there was no panic, only awe. She descended at their head, no longer the trembling child I had found crying in the forest. Her wings stretched wide, feathers gleaming like molten silver, eyes burning with purpose. Soldiers and colonists alike stared upward as she landed, her armored boots striking the ground with the weight of history. I stepped forward, older now, scarred from battles I never expected to survive. She smiled, just faintly, and whispered words that twisted my heart. "You saved me when I was nothing," she said. "Now I will save you all." The fleet's guns turned skyward, engines blazing as stars trembled. Beyond our world, another armada was forming, the empire she had once fled. The girl I'd sheltered was gone. In her place stood the commander of a force that could reshape the galaxy. And as the first shots lit the heavens, I realized the war she had promised was only beginning.